Well, good morning everyone, and welcome back to the ranch. And Americans, happy 4th of July, happy Independence Day to you. For all the rest of you around the world, God bless you all, and thank you for being here today. Like I said, good morning. It is in the morning at 7 o'clock in the morning, and that is by design. After about 11 o'clock, it's not a whole lot of fun being outside in Texas these days, and unless you got a lot of shade and a lot of breeze and something cold to drink. But anyway, like I said, for all of you Americans out there, have a wonderful Independence Day. Be really safe, be careful, be smart. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get into this video because it has the opportunity to get lengthy, especially with certain things bugging me today. Lily, you need to run off. Scoot. Okay, like I said, forget where I was. We have two things we need to cover today, so this video could get lengthy. One thing we need to cover is that little dude right there. And the other thing we need to cover, I will take you to a private car show, and one that for old you-know-who here kind of turned out a bit embarrassing, but anyway, we'll cover that on down the road. Anyway, once again, thanks for being here today. You know, it means a lot for me when you take a little time out of your busy day to drop by for a visit. So with no further ado, this car right here and the story that goes behind it. Back when I was a kid, I loved cars. And in Texas, you could get your driver's license at the ripe old age of 14. So at 14, I got my driver's license. I got a little Volkswagen for $600 and drove that thing all over the place. Still to this day, I can't believe my parents let me drive a car by myself at 14 years of age, but that's the way we rolled, literally. But anyway, by age 17, when I was a junior in high school, I was able to make my dream come true because I worked all the time. I hated going to school. I liked going to work, and I spent all the time I could at work and got out of school as much as possible too. But nevertheless, when I was 17, I bought a '64 Corvette, very similar to this car right here. These cars are called C2s. This is a second generation, and it is the body style that floated my boat, rocked my world. I love this body style. It was available from 1963 until 1967. And like I said, it was called the C2, or the second generation Corvette. But nevertheless, I bought one when I was a junior in high school. I loved that car. I drove it both my junior and senior years in high school, and I drove it my first year in college. The summer after my first year in college, one of my college buddies from that year, he had a lime green 1970 Roadrunner, and he wanted to trade. So I got weak and I traded that Corvette away, which in turn gave me decades of seller's remorse. I looked for that car and looked for that guy, and I couldn't find him anywhere. I couldn't find the car. You know, that was pre-internet. And it was just hard to find things back then, and especially just a car. You couldn't Google the VIN number and all that kind of stuff. So I just had to do without that Corvette. It just broke my heart. I couldn't believe how stupid I was. But nevertheless, my wife and I, who at that time back in the 70s, this is a few years later, we found that car. It was at a big Chevrolet dealer in Dallas, Texas. And we were driving by one day and saw it, and I stopped and looked at the car, and I told my wife, my girlfriend at the time, I said, Pat, that's my old car. I'm going to go in and buy that car. So I went in there and to talk to the salesman and ask him a few questions about the car, and figured out that was indeed my old Corvette. And I said, well, how much is it? And he goes, it's on sale today. It's $8,800. And well, it might as well have been $88 million, because we didn't have that kind of money and weren't going to have that kind of money in the foreseeable future. So I drove by it 2 or 3 weeks in a row there, looking at it and trying to figure out a way to buy it, and it just wasn't going to work out. And then it disappeared, and I never saw it again until decades later, with the advent of the internet. I started looking for that car again, and back You know, in the early 2000s, Corvette forum was big. There were all kinds of automotive sites, and the database for these registries was getting bigger and bigger. And so I told all my forum mates online that I was looking for that car. But once again, years and years and years clicked by and nothing ever happened. And then quite a few years later, I got an email one day, or a private message actually, and the guy said, "I think I found your car." And so I made some phone calls, and lo and behold, it was my car, and it was a couple of thousand miles away. And but I made arrangements to get the car again. And that, my friends, is it. That's my little high school buddy right there. So with no further ado, I'll pull you off that tripod, give you a first-hand tour. How about that? This car has an interesting history. It was not registered the first 2 years of its life. It was given to a General Motors executive to be driven, and he drove it for 2 years, put 22,000 miles, if memory serves me correctly, on the car. And after that, then it was registered, I believe, in the state of Massachusetts, somewhere up there in the Texas Panhandle. I don't remember exactly where it was, but nevertheless, I was just so fortunate to get this car twice. But once again, it's a 1964. It has a V8 motor, a 327 motor, and it's got a 4-speed transmission. And it's got just basically your general gauge setup: speedometer, tachometer over here on the left, fuel gauge, and then a battery gauge, which is a voltmeter actually, and then an oil gauge and a fuel gauge over there. You got your lights here, and this little switch opens up the hideaway headlights and the windshield wipers. Cigarette lighter, of course, and there's the ignition right there. There's the parking brake down there. And for those of you who don't know what that is, ask your mom and dad. Interesting thing, there were some options on this car that you didn't see on many. One interesting thing is the daggum clock still works. That is bizarre. But these are controls for ventilation right here. These are controls for the radio. And like I said, real interesting thing is this car, made in 1964, had the option of an FM radio, AM FM radio on it. So you just flip that little deal up. Kind of cool. And there's your ashtray. And not only that, and really a graceful, really graceful looking sporty dashboard too. And the doors are cool looking, I think, too. But the old car's still in really, really good condition. I've been told there's some cubbies down there, and I've been told that you can put beer in there and put ice on top of them. There's actually a drain in the bottom too. Like I said, I've been told that. People did that. High school kids surely didn't do that though, right? But anyway, leather interior, which still really, really looks good. Got one little snag in it right down there, and the carpets have been replaced. But everything else on this old car is pretty much original. Not much has been changed on it. I'm sorry for flagging this camera around, but everything works. Like the interior lights all still work. All the electronics work. Just in amazingly good condition still, despite the fact that I owned it. Okay, we will look under the hood. This is a 327. They came in 250 horse, 300 horse, 340 horse, and then they had a fuel injected model too. This particular flavor is the 300 horsepower engine, and it's basically, it doesn't have like power steering or power brakes. Just a single reservoir master cylinder. There's the steering gear right there, and they did do a nice job dressing up the engine, and it's shocking to see all these chrome pieces still around here, especially that one right there that covers all the ignition. But anyway, this, like I said, this is a 300 horsepower car, and I mean, it will scoot this little Corvette on down the road. Corvette. Hey, Lil. Corvettes are made out of fiberglass. The frame and all is metal, but the body is fiberglass. And one of the really cool things about this car is it still has, from its racing history, a big giant mouth for the fuel tank. And that's so they can put those great big jugs of gasoline with the monstrous nozzles on the end of them in there. And it's got dual exhaust. And I'll crank it up. I think it's, get it in neutral. But anyway, nice throaty little sound. So for all of you who've been burning up the comment section wanting to know more about this little dude right here, there you go. And you know, it's one thing to see it on film and to talk about it and all that, but it's a lot more fun to jump in and go for a ride. And you know, we do have a car show to go to today, so hop in, let's go. A little bit hard to hold the GoPro and shift to 4-speed at the same time, but I will do my best. Try to get us to our destination safely. Give you a little heads up on where we're going. I meet with 5 other guys every Thursday for lunch, and they're all car guys, so we always have plenty to talk about and a lot in common. Here's the Boerne bump, hang on. Woo! All right, and one of our guys in our little group decided he wanted to host one of these cars and coffee meetings that's kind of become popular around the United States in the last couple of years. So he's hosting it at his house. This is a Saturday morning, so we're headed over to his house. Not only is it going to be the regular 6 of us, there's also, he invited 6 or 7 other guys. So it'll be interesting to meet them and see what kind of cars they have and see what they're all about. Anyway, I am inviting you to an invitation only, fairly impromptu, whoa, gonna drop you there, gotta get in gear here. Private, what was I trying to say? So anyway, you guys are now personally invited to an invitation only, impromptu, cars and coffee private car show. Had to shift gears left-handed there, that was kind of weird. Anyway, fasten your seat belts and hang on. Ooh, that's a nice looking Camaro. Squirrel! Let's go to the car show. And when I got to the car show, I was mighty surprised at what I saw. Like I said in the car, I have lunch every Thursday with 6 guys, five other guys. There's 6 of us. We eat lunch together. We're all car guys. And mostly it's like, you know, this kind of car and Mustangs and GTOs and that kind of stuff. But when I got to the car show, cat for sale, very cheap. Lily, go on. When I got to the car show, I was very, very surprised at what I saw. Instead of seeing cars like this, I saw cars that were hot rods, all hot rods, 30s and 40s cars, most of them. And these are cars that had custom frames and, you know, custom everything. Everything was handmade for, you know, a specific look. And man, I mean, these cars are fabulous. Paint jobs that cost as much as that car's worth. That kind of deal. And most of the guys were really, really kind, but you know, sometimes car guys, especially really esoteric car guys, get a little bit catty. And I heard one guy commenting to another guy. They were over by my car, and my buddy Tom. Y'all remember Tom? He's the guy who had a mountain lion attacking his cats in a previous video. But Tom's Camaro and my Corvette, they were sitting back at the back, down at the toe end of Silk Stocking Road, but they were back down there. But this one guy, he was pointing out a defect that he was going to have to get fixed in his fabulous paint job. And the other guy said to him, he said, well, at least you don't drive a Chevrolet. And he pointed to my car and Tom's car. And there was a couple of other instances. you could tell that Tom and I were kind of the rabble. And one guy at one point, he said, "Is that your Corvette out there?" And I go, "Yeah." And I thought he was going to give me a compliment on it. He goes, "Well, can you move it? It's blocking my car." And I just thought I'd be funny. And I said, "Well, the only reason I parked it there is in case it won't start, I'd have somebody to push me." And he just sat there and he went, So anyway, but like I said, the rest of the guys, they were all nice, but there were just a few of them that had a little bit of holier than thou attitude. But these cars were fabulous, man. I mean, you can just look at them. The black car in here, the one called Yellow Jacket, that belongs to one of the guys that we eat lunch with, and that car is just insane. A lot of the parts on it, well, like all of the cowl and everything's all handmade. Just gorgeous cars. But anyway, we had a really good time, and as you can see by where we parked, Tom and I got there late. I did slip in there and get a donut and a cup of coffee real quick, and then I slipped back out. When I saw the crowd that was in there and the kind of cars that were there, I slipped back out and got my camera real quick and took these videos. I was trying to do it before anybody else came out, but I did get busted when a few guys walked out, but they didn't say anything, and I hit all the license plate numbers, so I don't think anybody can complain. But anyway, I thought you'd enjoy seeing these gorgeous cars today, and a little bit of humor that went along with it. Well, folks, that's it from out here on the ranch today. Gosh, what a beautiful day we're going to have today. A good day to be reflective about what this holiday really means. And there's been a lot of families who've gone through a lot of tragedy so that we can be out here on the internet chatting with each other. We can be playing with our cars, we can be barbecuing, we can be with our families, and we need to not only just celebrate and have a good time on this day, remembering our country and being thankful about our country, we also need to remember how we got here. It was not a piece of cake. Anyway, for all the rest of you around the world, we appreciate you guys observing our holiday too. The first well-wisher I had today was from Canada. And Zach, one of our buddies here on this particular YouTube channel, texted me and told me, a happy Independence Day. And, we are blessed to have neighbors like all you guys in Canada. We love you guys, and, just all our neighbors all the way around the world. It's just good to be in a good community of friends like what we have here on this channel. Thanks again for being here today. Like I said, for all of you Americans, happy Independence Day. For all the rest of you, God bless you all. We are so fortunate to have all of you here. And that's it for this 4th of July. Once again, God bless you all. I look forward to seeing you next time, and I want you to all always remember I love you. Bye-bye now. Here comes another cat. If you listen real close, you can hear him purr. Frank, happy Independence Day. So what you doing there, Al?
Neutering a dog, Dad.
All right. Who's going to learn you?
That's a mistake.